It's often asked why a significant portion of the elderly population, once they cross the age of 80, begins to noticeably decline. Even those who recently displayed remarkable energy and activity frequently experience a sharp decrease in vitality. Common belief tends to attribute these changes solely to genetic predisposition or circumstance. However, such simplification doesn't reveal the full picture. This article will explore 5 non-obvious factors that often go unnoticed and are rarely discussed, yet convincingly explain why many older adults find it increasingly difficult to maintain longevity and robust health after 80. We won't focus on familiar aspects like diet, avoiding bad habits, or regular exercise. Instead, we'll delve into more fundamental, subtle elements that often remain unobserved even in those who have maintained a healthy lifestyle throughout their lives. Fortunately, recognizing these reasons opens up opportunities for targeted action. Therefore, if you've ever wondered about the true obstacles to longevity after 80 and how to safeguard yourself while there's still time, you should read on. These 5 unexpected factors can profoundly change your understanding of the aging process before it's too late. Let's begin our examination. The first such reason, often overlooked, is the gradual decline of what experts call microsocial interaction. This doesn't imply deep friendships or large family gatherings, though their importance certainly remains. It refers to those everyday, seemingly insignificant, yet numerous contacts that subtly enriched a person's life. Consider how often people exchanged greetings with a mail carrier, chatted briefly with a supermarket cashier, or nodded to a neighbor walking their pet. These fleeting moments of contact were more than just pleasant. They played a crucial role in regulating the nervous system, reinforcing a sense of social belonging, and maintaining cognitive sharpness by activating the brain's social neural networks. However, after the age of 80, many older adults stop visiting stores independently, preferring online orders or assistance from loved ones. Their interactions with strangers diminish due to hearing loss, and outdoor walks become less frequent because of cold weather or knee instability. When these small but vital social contacts gradually disappear, something equally valuable, life energy, fades with them. Most people don't even realize the depth of these changes, perceiving it as a natural simplification of daily life. In reality, they are unconsciously eliminating low-level social stimuli that are crucial for maintaining brain activity, improving mood, and constantly affirming to the body that they are still an integral part of a living, pulsating world. Maintaining such connections doesn't require excessive effort. There are cases of men over 80 who maintained excellent physical and mental shape simply by visiting the same coffee shop every morning, exchanging greetings with the regular staff, and nodding to 3 familiar faces on the corner. This 5-minute segment of human interaction wasn't just routine, it was a source of vitality. It gave their day structure, supported a sense of responsibility, and provided a feeling of self-worth. When this element disappears from life, an inevitable biological cost is incurred. The brain perceives loneliness, both profound and subtle, as a powerful stressor. This leads to hormonal imbalances, increased inflammation, and a weakened immune system. Most critically, it initiates the degradation of neural networks responsible for memory, attention, and emotional regulation. Simply put, a person starts to feel older much faster. Therefore, if you notice a reduction in daily social contacts, or if you've stopped leaving the house for small errands, initiating casual conversations, or started feeling invisible in your surroundings, it's time to reevaluate your approach. These moments of connection, even the most seemingly insignificant, silently tell your brain and body that you are still important. You are still part of something larger. And this message is one of the most powerful means of maintaining a full life, not just in terms of its duration, but also in preserving your spirit. The second non-obvious factor explaining why many people don't reach advanced old age after 80 lies in a phenomenon that might at first seem like wisdom: excessive caution. However, there's a fine, subtle line between reasonable foresight and overcaution. Once this line is crossed, The consequences rarely appear immediately, but always tend to accumulate, gradually eroding one's vitality. It often begins with the best intentions. Perhaps a person once slipped on stairs or nearly lost balance on a sidewalk, and in response to this scare, decides to reduce outdoor walks. They stop bending down to reach items from low shelves or sitting in the backseat of a car. Time spent sitting increases along with overall inertia. Those around them usually approve of such prudence, saying things like, "Don't overdo it," or "Take it easy." Before one realizes it, they've formed a lifestyle that, while safe, is devoid of movement. But here's what's rarely discussed. When movement ceases, the development of strength inevitably ceases too. This applies not only to leg or arm muscles, but also to coordination, balance, and the body's internal stability. The human body is not a machine that needs rest to maintain efficiency. It's more like a garden that requires constant care and attention. When activity slows to a minimum, things don't just stay the same, they gradually weaken and fade. One of the first places these negative changes manifest is in the core muscles. Most people don't realize how critically important these deep torso muscles are for almost all daily activities: standing, walking, lifting, and even simply getting up from a chair. If these muscles aren't used for even a few weeks, they atrophy. And when they atrophy, balance suffers. A person starts to sway, and the vicious cycle worsens. There's a known case of 82-year-old Walter who stopped his evening walks after slipping on a rainy day. There were no fractures, just a scare. But that scare was enough. He stopped walking his daily mile and began spending most evenings sitting in front of the television. Within 6 months, he lost 10 pounds of muscle mass. His legs became weak. His doctor warned him, but the damage had already begun to accumulate. Walter didn't stop because he was weak. On the contrary, he became weak precisely because he stopped. This is not a call to ignore real risks. There are sensible ways to stay safe. Use handrails, wear stable shoes, clear pathways, and even use a cane if necessary. However, there's a fundamental difference between managing risk and being completely dictated by it. When fear begins to dictate a person's movements, the body gradually forgets how to move at all. Therefore, if you notice that you're doing less, not because you're physically unable, but because you fear the potential consequences, you should pay close attention. It's important to ask yourself, am I protecting myself, or am I slowly fading away? Because staying fully alive after 80 isn't just about avoiding falls. It means continuing to move, even if you have to do it more carefully, more slowly, more deliberately. Movement is how the body remembers its own purpose. It's how all body systems stay active, how the brain remains alert, and how the heart continues to beat with a purpose. The third reason, disrupted sleep cycles due to irregular light exposure. Inside the human body, there's an invisible chronometer that doesn't tick, yet regulates almost every aspect of life: mood, metabolism, the immune system, and even brain repair processes at night. After 80, these internal clocks, or circadian rhythms, become particularly vulnerable. One of the main reasons for their disruption is a deficit of natural light during the day and an excess of artificial light in the evening hours. You might not realize it immediately. Perhaps you started sleeping a bit more during the day, dozing off in the afternoon sun. Or perhaps you've stopped going outside regularly, especially in colder months. You might spend evenings in front of the TV, or stay up late under bright lights, reading or watching a movie. Each of these changes might seem harmless, but together they subtly disorient the body about when it should be alert and when it should rest. The human body relies on natural light to maintain its internal rhythm. Intense morning light signals the brain to wake up, to move, to direct energy where it's needed. And darkness at night signals the production of melatonin, a hormone that promotes relaxation and prepares for deep, regenerative sleep. But when the eyes don't receive enough natural daylight, or when evenings are filled with artificial brightness from screens or lamps, the internal biological signals become disordered. As a result, you might find it harder to fall asleep or stay asleep. You might wake up feeling unrefreshed even after 8 hours in bed. During the day, you might experience a drop in energy or a noticeable decline in cognitive functions. Specifically, memory might become a bit foggier than usual. Over time, this chronic sleep disruption affects more than just energy levels. It undermines immune defenses, leads to emotional instability, and even increases the likelihood of cognitive impairment. There's also an important aspect related to vitamin D, which the body naturally synthesizes when sunlight hits the skin. After 80, the skin's ability to produce vitamin D significantly decreases, making regular outdoor exposure even more critically important. Without enough of this vitamin, bones, muscles, and the immune system suffer. I once spoke with an 84-year-old woman named Helen, who complained of increasing fatigue and disorientation. Her blood tests were normal, her diet was unchanged, and she wasn't taking any new medications. The turning point came when her doctor simply recommended she spend 20 minutes each morning sitting by a window with the blinds fully open and turn off all screens an hour before bed. Within 2 weeks, her sleep significantly improved. Along with it, her memory and overall mood also improved. It wasn't a new medication, it was light. Therefore, if you spend most of your time indoors with curtains drawn, or if your evenings are filled with blue light from your phone or TV, it's time for a change. Try to go outside within an hour of waking up, even if it's just a few minutes on the porch. Let your eyes and skin absorb the morning light. In the evening, dim the lights, allowing your body to prepare for proper rest. These gentle rhythms are not just a matter of comfort. They are a matter of survival. Many people don't realize that the body ages not only due to wear and tear. It also ages due to disorganization, due to systems breaking down. And restoring light signals, normalizing sleep schedules, returning to natural daily rhythms. This is how you can bring back that organization. This is how you can tell your body, even at 85, we're still in the game. We're still moving. We're still here. The fourth reason, emotional suppression caused by loss and isolation. By the time many people reach 80, they've experienced far more loss than most younger individuals can imagine. This could be a spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend, or sometimes even a child. And while the outside world may politely offer sympathy, it's rarely acknowledged how these losses accumulate not just in memory, but within the body itself. What often happens after 80 is not just grief. It's emotional suppression. It's a slow, quiet habit of swallowing pain instead of expressing it. One puts on a brave face because they feel they should have gotten used to it by now, or because there's no one left who truly understands the depth of their loss. But here's the truth. The body doesn't forget. When grief isn't processed, when it's not spoken about, shared, or fully experienced, it doesn't just disappear. It accumulates. And over time, this emotional burden becomes physical. It begins to negatively impact the immune system, digestion, and sleep. It alters hormone levels. It puts the nervous system in a constant state of quiet tension. And the hardest part is that it happens silently. Outwardly, a person might appear calm. They might even claim to be fine. But if their shoulders feel a bit heavier, if their breathing is a bit shallower, if their inner spark has dimmed so much that they no longer feel like themselves, the cause might be unexpressed grief, even if it hasn't been spoken of for years. I recall the case of 86-year-old George, who lost his wife of 60 years. He didn't cry much, saying it wasn't his nature, claiming he was fine, but within a year, he lost weight, stopped attending the senior center, and began experiencing severe sleep problems. The cause wasn't an illness, but that his body was carrying the burden of sorrow that was never allowed to be released. Emotional pain doesn't have to be dramatic to be destructive. And by the time it manifests in physical health, the connection isn't always obvious. What keeps people alive well past 80 is often not just physical strength. It's emotional ventilation. It's having safe, open channels to express sadness, fear, longing. It's being able to say, I miss her, or I'm still angry, or I feel lonely, and not be judged for it. Such release allows the heart to breathe again. And when the heart can breathe, the body can heal. That's why people who live long usually have some outlet for their emotions. Perhaps it's a trusted friend. Perhaps it's journaling. Perhaps it's faith or involvement in a community group, or even a therapist who helps them unpack stories they've carried for decades. Whatever the form, the principle remains the same. What is expressed can be transformed. What is buried festers. Therefore, if you've been holding something back, not because you wanted to, but because you didn't know where to put it, it's time to make space for those emotions. Not just for your own emotional well-being, but for life itself. Because the truth is, the heart can only carry so much pain before it quietly begins to fade. And if you aim to live well past 80, not just existing, but living fully, you need to allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of emotions. The fifth reason, the gradual loss of daily purpose. One of the most imperceptible reasons why many people don't thrive after 80 is the slow erosion of something we often take for granted until it's gone. This refers to daily purpose. It's not life's purpose in some grand philosophical sense, but something simple. It's what gets a person out of bed in the morning, having something to do, somewhere to go, someone to see. The purpose doesn't have to be dramatic. It could be watering the plants before the sun gets too hot. It could be feeding the neighbor's cat waiting at the door. It could be writing a letter to a grandchild or fixing a hinge on the back gate. But when these small routines begin to disappear, when mornings arrive without a reason to move, and evenings come without anything to look forward to, something inside quietly begins to fade. The body listens to the mind. And when the mind no longer sees a reason to move forward, the body follows suit. Appetite drops. Movement slows. And without purpose, the systems that once regulated health begin to quiet down. Not because they are broken, but because they are waiting for a reason to turn back on. This is easy to miss because it happens gradually. Perhaps the weekly bridge game was canceled. Perhaps the church group stopped meeting. Perhaps family visits became less frequent, or an old volunteer role ended when knees started aching. A person tells themselves it's normal, that's part of aging. But deep down, they feel it. The days blend together, each one quieter than the last. I once met a woman named Ruth, 88 years old, who seemed more alive than most people half her age. She wasn't wealthy. She didn't have perfect health, nor was she surrounded by a large family. But she had one thing that never left her routine. Every Monday, she wrote postcards to church members who couldn't leave their homes. Every Thursday, she cooked soup and froze it for the local shelter. Every day, she sat by her window around 4 p.m. to watch the neighborhood children walk home from school. She knew their names. She waved to them, and they waved back. It wasn't glamorous, but it gave her days texture. It gave her heart a rhythm. It gave her life continuity. And therein lies the secret. No one tells you that the body stays alive as long as it believes it is needed. Purpose, even the smallest, is like fuel. It tells the cells to keep repairing, the organs to keep functioning, the brain to keep learning. When a person loses that sense of significance, when they feel their presence no longer matters to anyone or anything, the flame begins to dim. That's why people who live past 80 with grace and vitality usually have something that gives their day meaning. It could be a garden, a pet, a journal, a ritual, a phone call, a simple morning prayer. The scale doesn't matter. Consistency matters. What matters is knowing that when you open your eyes in the morning, there's a reason to get up. So, if you've been feeling a bit lost, as if your days have lost their shape or meaning, don't ignore it. It's not just sadness. It's a signal. Your body is asking for rhythm, structure, connection, and purpose again. Because in the end, longevity isn't just about a beating heart. It's about a heart that wants to beat. And that quiet desire to keep living, to stay connected, to still matter. That's what carries people past 80 into a life that still feels full. Concluding thoughts. As we come to a close, I want to leave you with a simple yet powerful truth. Most people don't decline after 80 because of one specific moment. It's not a diagnosis, a fall, or a birthday that suddenly changes everything. It's a slow, quiet fading of habits, rhythms, and reasons to stay engaged with life. And often, these changes are so subtle, so gradual, that one doesn't realize what's happening until something inside feels dimmer than before. But the good news is that just as these changes happen slowly, they can also be slowly reversed. One walk outside, one extra conversation with someone at the store, one small stretch in the morning, one thing you do today, not because you have to, but because it brings structure, connection, or meaning. That's how you start to turn things around. So, recall the 5 unexpected reasons we've discussed. Which one surprised you the most? Which one felt uncomfortably familiar? And more importantly, which one are you ready to act on? Even a little, starting today? Because the truth is, you have more power than you think. Not to stop aging, but to change how you age. And if you remain vigilant to the subtle transformations that quietly erode vitality, if you are willing to carefully nurture your internal biorhythms and daily cycles, actively protect and cultivate your everyday sense of purpose, and allow yourself to fully experience and express emotions without suppressing them, then the likelihood of not just reaching the age of 80, but living beyond it a life filled with meaning, depth, and genuine self-fulfillment becomes significantly higher. This will be a life lived on your own terms, in harmony with yourself and the world around you, where each day gains new value.